Your good deeds, the kindness you offer, and the love and goodwill you send out will return to you manifold in various ways. Joseph Murphy. He is one of those difficult bosses in every workplace. He does everything he wants just because he is related to the CEO. To save the silently enduring subordinates, I decided to stand up, but from the next day, I became the target of harassment. Hey, when do you go to quit? At your age, no one's going to hire you. Looks like a bleak future ahead. Why? You'll become homeless if you get fired. When I defended my subordinate, she took a certain action. Her true identity is: my name is Ryan. I turned 43 this year. My job is neither good nor bad. I work in the HR department of a company and have been promoted to manager. Considering my age, it's a late promotion, but I find my job fulfilling and have no particular complaints. Except for one thing. My only problem is my boss, Alexander. He's a so-called figurehead manager who got in for connections. Arrogant and haughty, he doesn't do much work. He claims others' achievements as his own and blames his failures on his subordinates. As a manager, he should be handling a lot of responsibilities, including managing subordinates and complex tasks. But Alexander never does the troublesome tasks himself, always finding plausible reasons to dump them on someone else. Even during busy periods, he doesn't care. When there's trouble, he's the first to leave. Such a boss can't possibly earn the trust of his subordinates, and he's disliked by everyone. Once, a female employee in our department went on maternity leave, and due to the timing, we couldn't recruit new staff in time and had to hire a contract worker. Then, a young woman called Ivon joined us. She was articulate, asked questions and took notes when she didn't understand something. When she had free time, she would actively help others, and we all talked about how great it was to have her. But the problem, as always, was Alexander. He who casually practiced sexism, dumped all the menial tasks on Ivon. Making copies, serving tea, organizing supplies, tasks that weren't part of her contract. When I voiced my concerns, Alexander said, "Don't talk back to me. She should be grateful to be employed as a contract worker. Women are just meant to handle the menial tasks. Get back to work if you've understood." Ivon shook her head and stopped me from arguing. "It's okay, I'm fine. I'll do my best in everything," she said with a smile, and indeed worked hard. I wondered how she could be so dedicated, and it seemed everyone else felt the same. One day, I happened to see female employees chatting in the break room. "Ivon, I'm really sorry about our terrible boss, Alexander. If it gets too hard, feel free to take a break. Ryan understands these things well." "No, it's fine. Everyone is so kind to me. I enjoy working here. I see this as a challenge. Just because there's one unpleasant person doesn't mean I want to leave all the kind people here. I've even started to find fulfillment in my work." Seeing Ivon laugh and strike a victory pose made me feel a bit ashamed. Honestly, I was so fed up with Alexander that I even thought about quitting the company, but seeing her, I felt motivated to persevere a little longer here. Making the workplace enjoyable for young people like Ivon is also a duty of us older folks. I felt a bit more positive. Things were peaceful for a while, but one day, when I returned from an errand, I heard a familiar yelling. Alexander is on a rampage again. Entering the department, I realized Ivon was the target this time. "How could you make such a mistake? Are you stupid? Just a contract worker after all. Can't you take responsibility for your work?" The usual character assassination. Listening further, it became clear that the mistake wasn't Ivon's fault at all. It was clearly a result of Alexander's wrong instructions. The mistake was related to the job postings for new hires for the next fiscal year, which contained errors in the number of positions and the monthly salary. Though it was a minor error in just 2 places, it could lead to significant losses. To correct the already published job postings, we would have to request it all over again. Meaning, we'd have to pay double the fee, and even if we got a discount, it would be minimal. Moreover, we would have to re-explain to those who applied based on the initial job posting. Do you think we'd pay a new hire a monthly salary of $4,000 for 3 positions? What's that about? I said only 2. But the voice recorder clearly has you saying to recruit 3 people with a monthly salary of $4,000, Alexander. Ivon stood her ground. She had been using a voice recorder as a precaution against Alexander, who often changed his statements. That's her smart move. I thought this would force Alexander to admit his mistake. But I was too optimistic. Voice recorder, are you kidding me? That doesn't erase your mistake. I do like this. Cunning woman. Alexander forcefully took the voice recorder from Ivon and smashed it on the floor. Then, he continued to berate her with nonsensical insults. No one could stop him. Even though it was clear Alexander was at fault, he was hired through nepotism. Besides, he's closely related to President Anderson, so complaining about his tyranny would only lead to our own dismissal. All we could do was silently endure the storm and comfort our battered colleagues. In these times, finding a new job isn't easy, and everyone has their own reasons for working. Even if we wanted to defend someone, we couldn't. That's how it had always been. I've seen many subordinates and colleagues leave because they couldn't bear it anymore. But I had reached my limit. Seeing Ivon biting her lip, looking down, holding back her tears, I was fed up with making her go through such pain. This is enough. You're the one at fault. It's your mistake. Do you think yelling and pushing the blame onto your subordinates solves everything? As a supervisor, you should naturally take responsibility for your subordinates' mistakes. I was ready to quit anyway. I didn't care if I got fired. But I wanted to help Ivon, who had rekindled my joy in working, before I left. I stepped in between them, determined. Alexander, who had never been confronted before, was taken aback by my imposing stance. What you're doing is blatant gender discrimination, and as the HR manager, your oppressive attitude is shameful. Have some dignity. I said it. I finally said what I wanted to say. Let whatever happens, happen. Without flinching, I spoke my mind, and Alexander, looking for support, found everyone averting their eyes. Times like these revealed a lack of personal connections. Silently, Alexander grabbed his bag and stormed out with heavy footsteps. I'm sorry I couldn't defend you sooner, Ivon. It wasn't your mistake. As I spoke to her, Ivon, perhaps feeling relieved, began to cry softly. An older female employee quickly came over to console her. After some commotion in the department, I went around encouraging everyone to get back to work, and gradually, we all returned to our normal routines. As expected, the harassment began the next day. Important communications were not shared with me. I was informed of false meeting times, and then meetings were held without me, and important documents were shredded. It was so childish that I initially ignored it, but then it escalated to constant sarcastic remarks whenever he opened his mouth. Hey, Ryan, when do you quit? Where do you plan on reapplying? I doubt there's anywhere that would hire someone like you. You're 43, right? What are you going to do? Your future looks bleak. Going to become homeless if you get fired. He would nag and nag, whispering in my ear. If I didn't react, he would yell at me for ignoring him. It was truly persistent. He called my work cell phone frequently at night, and if I didn't call back, he would become furious. And when I did call back, he wouldn't answer. And he called me at times when people would normally be sleeping, showing his childishness. Then, he started piling on twice the amount of work, resulting in me having to work overtime until the early hours. every single day. The workload was so immense that I had to work on weekends just to keep up. I became chronically sleep-deprived and was constantly battling drowsiness. Then, one day, I finally made a mistake. Perhaps it was the drowsiness that impaired my ability to make sound judgments. I completely forgot the deadline for documents that needed to be settled, causing inconvenience to the other party. Alexander was thrilled to use this as an opportunity to criticize me publicly. And for that trivial mistake, I was demoted. I had been working with a bring-it-on attitude, but my spirit finally broke. Was there any reason to continue working hard in this company where such tyranny was allowed just because he was related to President Anderson? Even if I worked hard at the place I was demoted to, there was likely no chance of returning to the main office. It was just a matter of time. I convinced myself of this and resigned on my own terms. I felt a bit down, as if I had let Alexander win, but after a few days of good sleep, I started to feel indifferent. While doing some long overdue housework and watching TV, I heard the familiar name of the company I used to work for. Curious, I looked at the screen and saw the news that my former company had been acquired by a major corporation. I hadn't heard any rumors about it. I was honestly surprised. However, there was something even more surprising. For a moment, on the screen next to the acquiring company's president, Ivon was sitting. It was just a moment, but I thought it was her. It could have been a mistake, but, well, it doesn't concern me anymore, and I went back to cleaning. One day, I received a call on my cell phone. It was from my former company. "Hello, is this Ryan?" "Yes, this is Ryan. How can I help you?" I had already completed all the paperwork for my resignation, so I wondered what they could possibly want now. "It's me, Ivon. Have you found a new job yet?" "Ivon. No, I was thinking of taking it easy for a while. Haven't started looking yet." "That's great," Ivon exclaimed happily over the phone. "If it's okay with you, would you consider coming back?" Well, that's a tough decision, but why is Ivon asking this? It was strange that a contract employee like her, and right after the company had been acquired, would call back an employee who had been forced out. When I asked her why, her answer was astonishing. Ivon was the daughter of the president of the company that had acquired us. Though she was cherished since she was young, she had a strong sense of independence, so she disliked being seen as riding on her parents' coattails and chose to work at a company completely unaffected by her parents' influence. However, unbeknownst to her, her father had been advancing the acquisition, and she ended up working for her parents' company after all. After the acquisition, she became a regular employee, and since it had become her parents' company anyway, she decided to use her influence just this once and went directly to negotiate with her father, President Richardson. She expressed a desire to repay the favor to me and to work under me once again. "I've always wanted to handle things on my own. I couldn't help you when Alexander was harassing you because of me. I regret that. It might be too late, but would you work with me again? I appreciate the offer, but I'm disliked by Alexander. I might end up causing trouble for you again." When I declined, she chuckled on the phone. "Alexander, he's no longer with us. My father wanted to improve the company's atmosphere and quickly demoted him. Since Alexander hardly did any real work, his transition was swift and he was soon gone. Then, I might take you up on your offer. I'll be returning, but I'll work hard. Will you hire me again, Miss Ivon, the president's daughter?" Ivon, with a voice tinged with anger saying please, stop it, seemed slightly pleased. The rehiring process moved quickly, or rather, my resignation was as if it never happened, and the few days I was gone were considered paid leave. "Welcome back, Ryan. We've been waiting for you. We're sorry we couldn't do anything for you, even though you always protected us." Upon returning to the office, everyone welcomed me warmly, just like before. Ivon also appeared from the crowd. "Let me introduce myself again. I'm Ivon, the president's daughter, but please continue to make good use of me as before." Laughter spilled from those around her as she energetically bowed. "Thank you, Ivon. Because of you, everyone can work comfortably. It's not because of me. It's your popularity, Ryan." I didn't mind being praised. I vowed to make the most of this opportunity and work even harder for the sake of my supportive subordinates. And there was another pleasant surprise. I was soon promoted to department manager. My daughter may cause some trouble, but I ask you a favor. Please don't indulge her, but train her well. There is pressure of president, but that's a separate matter. I have no intention of giving Ivon special treatment. My only goal is to ensure that everyone can work happily. Your good deeds, the kindness you offer, and the love and goodwill you send out will indeed return to you manifold in various ways. Joseph Murphy.